Hi everyone, welcome to today's workshop where we are joined by the Mande team who will be sharing all about credibility for RollApps. We'll be going through some live demoing and just be happy to answer all of your guys' questions. I'm going to invite both Pratik and Sandeep to join the stage now. As usual, please do put any of your questions in the questions tab and any comments, say hi in the chat. Hi, Sandeep. How are you?
Hi, Clara. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I think we're just waiting for... There we go. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Clara. I'm good.
Hi. That's it for me. I'm ready to hand over to you guys if you want to get started. And yeah, enjoy, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for showing up here on this session about credibility. So I'll start laying down for what credibility means, basically, and then we will briefly discuss about what we are building and show some examples of what we have built so that you can take some inspiration and then choose your hackathon idea or implement credibility into your hackathon idea. On top of that, we will also sort of demonstrate Mande network and our proof of credibility SDK. Our SDK enables developers like you to sort of build apps easily with credibility on them. So to establish the stage, like what is credibility that we are talking about? It's very fundamental. We all know it. So we all know that every single address on Web3 is anonymous. We don't know who is the human being behind the address. So the question we are asking here is there a way we can create a trust profile around this address, anonymous address, by doing while the address remains anonymous? How can we make it credible? How can we make it trustworthy, right? Now that can mean different things, right? As an example, you want to give a loan to somebody, an uncollateral loan, non-collateral loan to somebody in the Web3 world. How do you do that? So is there a way to sort of look at the credibility profile of this address and then give them a loan, right? That's a very that's one kind of question. Or a simple example would be, think of a DApp which is all about blind dating, right? You want to date somebody blindly, but you want to make sure that they're trustworthy, that they're worth your time and attention. So how do you do something like that, right? So when you start thinking about real world use cases where anonymity is needed, so you want the user to be anonymous, but again you need a situation where credibility is needed, right? So that you can start engaging with them anonymously. So that's what we are talking about, right? This is what we feel. I mean, if you look at crypto space today, it's all about swaps, tokens, liquidity pools, AMMs, and stuff like that. But to be able to create real utility around all the technical work or infrastructure that we are building, we need to start thinking about consumer applications. And the moment we start thinking about consumer applications, there are a vortex of apps, like a bunch of apps that are possible, where you can create credibility and then keep the users private and anonymous using the regular crypto private keys and ZK proofs or whatever. So credibility combined with anonymity can create a scheme of dApps that can be sort of applicable across various industries or consumer applications, right? So we are dealing in this kind of credibility framework, right? So we at Mande Network, so Mande Network is essentially a RollApp on Dymension chain itself. So on Mande Network, we are enabling various dApps that consume our SDK, which is the proof of credibility SDK, which will let developers like you easily build dApps that depend on credibility and launch them really fast, right? So that's where we come in. So we are building an ecosystem of credibility based dApps on a RollApp, while we provide you the infrastructure and the SDK to sort of enable these credibility based apps, right? So that's Mande Network for you. So that's the essence. That's basically what credibility is, how anonymity and credibility combined can create different kinds of consumer applications. And because that can happen, how Mande wants to be this credibility infrastructure as a RollApp on Dymension, so that a multiple of these apps can be enabled, right? So this is the overall context. So I'll show you a simple example of something that we built and launched recently, right? So we built. I'll share my screen and show you something. So, I mean, we basically we were launching Mande network, and we are announcing our own testnet. So we built this DApp for our own testnet, right? So, we use a mechanism for trust, where how to build trust between anonymous users, right? So we sort of use something called quadratic coding to sort of build trust in our applications, right? So what is quadratic coding? So think of it like this: like if I give four of you 100 coins each, right, and I tell you you can vote with these coins, but if you vote all 100 on one, you can vote on each other with these coins, right? If you vote all these 100 on any other person, right, just to as an attestation that they're trustworthy, right? So if you vote on all these 100 coins on one person, the number of votes they will get is actually number of tokens that you would vote and a square root of that. So basically, like, if you vote with 100 coins, they would get square root of 100, which is 10 votes, right? So I'll basically give four people 100 coins each and ask them to vote on each other, right? How many with how many ever coins you want to vote with, vote on the remaining three or remaining four people, in such a way that your vote should be proportional to how much you trust them. If you trust them a lot, vote them with more coins. If you trust them less, vote them with less coins, right? Think of a system like that. Now, if I vote with all my coins on a single person, with all 100 coins, the trust score I will award the counterparty, the person I vote on, is root of 100. So it's quadratic coding basically. I vote with coins, and I generate trust score to sort of count the number of votes casted on that person. So that will be root of 100. So if I have 100 coins, if I vote on a single person, the net voting power I have on this small network is basically root of 100, which is 10. But if I think a little more smartly and say, okay, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to have more voting power on this network. I want to have more influence on this network. So what I would do is I will not vote all my 100 on one person. I'll vote four parts maybe, right? So I will vote 25 each on four different people in the network. So 25 each I'm voting. So root of 25 is essentially like 5. So I vote on four people. So I vote 20 votes. So what happened is the moment I divide my vote among four different people, I cast my net influence, or my net voting power that went into the network has increased, has doubled basically, right? So if I do it like even more, in the sense, if I say, okay, I don't want to vote on four people, I vote on 10 people, then my voting power goes even more up. So that is the in principle idea, right? Like, if you create a system where we ask people to vote on each other, and we use that votes themselves as a attestation of trust, right? So I mean, there's a group of 100 people, right? Each of them can vote on each other with coins, and with these votes, we can actually attest trust score for each of these people in the network, right? So and we can actually do this in humanity scale, like, you can do it for 3 people, 100 people, or humanity scale, right? So like, just repeating it, like take everybody in the globe and give everybody in the globe a few coins, and ask all these people to vote on somebody else, and you finally count the votes to sort of understand what is the kind of votes each of them got, and then use that as a proxy of trust in some situations, right? So that's the basic idea here. I mean, so I mean, if in the Web3 world, it can be like, take 100 addresses and give all these 100 addresses tokens and ask them to vote on each other, right? The reasons can be any. So we built a system like that based on quality coding, and we launched it on our testnet. As you can see, in the last 4 days, over 12,000 people participated, and we actually created credibility scores like this for a lot of people, right? Like, so in this network of 12,000 people, there is one person who got the score of about 1900 credibility points. So these points are basically an attestation of trust. So this is one example of how you can build systems where you can assign trust to anonymous users based on all of them remain anonymous. We just ask them to vote on each other. Based on those votes, we are assigning a trust score, right? So we can use some math and an interesting combination, create these voting machines to sort of enable trust. This is one example. So there can be more examples like this, right? Like I can trust somebody. If somebody can prove me, hey, I have 20,000 followers on Twitter. I don't want to reveal who I am, but I want to submit a proof that I have 20,000 followers on Twitter, right? So you can essentially use that data point to sort of create some kind of trust profile for them, saying that, okay, I mean, if there is a way in which somebody can prove number of Twitter followers they have without actually revealing their identity, then I can use that number to attest trust to that individual, right? So essentially, a lot of Web 2 data can be migrated like that into Web 3 while keeping the users private. So that is the next, that is one more module in our proof of credibility SDK, where we sort of integrate with various other protocols like Reclaim Protocol, TLS Notary, and many other ZK proofs that are available, so that you can start getting users to submit their Web 2 credentials to the Web 3 blockchain without like revealing their identity. So that is the second part. I'll come to the questions in a while. Then think about another way is, we just call DAOs. We know that there are many DAOs which are credible. So we just call DAOs and tell them, hey, I mean, can you issue some certificates, right? So there is a very famous paper by Vitalik called SBT, Soulbound Tokens. Work done around that. So I mean, so SBTs is one more way. You can actually, like, DAOs can come and give badges to people in the networks to sort of attest their role in the community or their trustworthiness, right? So that is one more way of doing it. A much more one more abstraction around this concept is verifiable credentials and decentralized identities. I'm sure you would have heard a lot about that as well, right? So basically what I'm trying to arrive at is there are multiple systems that are evolving together towards establishing reputation or on-chain credibility of a user, right? So what we are doing on Mande Network, RollApp and Dymension essentially is we are trying to sort of aggregate all these various mechanisms for trust into a single SDK, which any developer can use to sort of quickly program a dApp. I mean, for that dApp, whatever trust mechanisms are needed, they come quickly from the SDK. And all the dApps that get built on this SDK can also exchange trust. For example, I built a dating app, which created some trust data on chain, right? Now this data can be consumed by probably a credit app. I mean, if somebody has a good credit rating, maybe that will correlate to their dating profile, right? So essentially, like, I mean, so this becomes interoperable between the dApps. So that is basically the proof of credibility SDK in a sense that we're building at Mande Network. Cool. So I'll go through some questions. Then Pratik will sort of take over and run you through the proof of credibility SDK itself, how it is positioned, and how you can use it. Yeah, somebody said petition to add one more session with Barry. Yeah, I mean, we should definitely do that sometime.
Everyone's been loving. We've had a lot of workshops with Barry, and everyone's been loving him. So I completely understand why. He will minimally be at the finale event as well. So do make sure to join that, and you'll see more of him.
Awesome. So JV is saying, why square root of tokens? Yeah, wonderful question. It need not be a square root of tokens. So when we designed this algorithm where people vote on each other, so we actually made it a variable. We call it dynamic network constant. So basically, the number of votes casted when it is a square, when it is a purely quadratic, is like basically number of tokens power 1 by 2. That is like, if it is 100 tokens, power 1 by 2 is square root of it is 10. But it can be power 0.8 or power 0.7. The beauty is if the power value goes towards 1, essentially it becomes similar to proof of stake, where while it goes towards 0, you're attesting, you're believing in trust more, right? So it can be modeled in such a way that it need not be a square root. It can be any value to the power of number of tokens voted, right? So that's how the proof of credibility SDK also is modeled. Yeah, so that's what Pratik said, to enable collaboration on the network. So I mean, square root is one obvious way, but there are multiple mechanisms you can model it around. So do check out our the dApp we built with this mechanism. I'm just leaving it here. These are first testnet, and it really went viral in the last 4 days. So that's some proof that people are using it. Yeah, cool. So off to Pratik now. he will basically run you through the proof credibility SDK, how we are constructing it. It's a work in progress, of course, the SDK itself. But then we have a few dApps already running on the SDK, which is a good news. So Pratik, after you, you can sort of take them through it.
Yeah. Hey guys. Uh, so first of all, I'd like to understand uh, all of you are developers, right? Here in the audience, I'm assuming that, and we'll be talking in the terms of what we have built on the SDK, the features, and what we are already using on our dApps. So as Sandeep demonstrated on the testnet that we launched, so we have this module for staking to your friend or anyone you know over the internet, right? By taking an address. So that is one critical module that we have. There are others like ZK proofs for any Web2 related data. While I discuss about these, I'll share my screen as well. Yeah, so this is the short, documentation about our SDK that we have put out. So it's basically a toolkit for anyone to come and build applications like the one we launched for Mande testnet, and one more application that we launched. It's called P2PX, which is a decentralized on-off ramp platform, which again powered by the same SDK. So the features are essentially it's modular, and we have taken inspiration from this standard called Diamond standard, which lets anyone build plug and play modules on smart contracts. Uh, as the modules that I discussed about, you can quickly add and remove any modules on your app. Then reputation management is again, the score, the credibility score that we spoke about. It can be curated by using multiple modules, and multiple data points can be used for generating this score. So management of this again is a very crucial, thing to have. So again, we have this readily available on the SDK, which can be used easily. Integration is again this SDK. The bare bone of the SDK is a set of smart contracts, right? Which again are built on top of the Diamond standard that I talked about. It's one of the standards for building modular systems. You can build huge applications using Solidity smart contract without hitting the limits of the code limit of a single contract. So it's very flexible in a way that Solidity is one of the widely accepted language, and uh, compatible with most of the L2s or rollups available, EVM based. And since it's a Diamond standard, it's like the base of this itself is upgradability. So you can upgrade at any point of time while building your application, or even after you have designed and deployed the contracts on the chain. The simple steps that need to be followed is you install the SDK using npm, and then you can create a new instance. Again, so right now the SDK is not available for public use, but we are using it internally, so we don't need to specify any sort of identifier of which application it is getting registered for. But in the public version, there will be some identifier that you can pass while you're creating an instance for the SDK. So new POC, and inside this parameter, you can pass something like, maybe if you are building a dating app, ZK dating, cred based dating, something. And then you can add modules, whatever you want to use. One example is ZK module. Then there are other examples like, credibility staking. And then there is one more where you can recommend friends and get some, if you get actual user who are using your app, then it also adds up to your credibility score. So there are multiple modules. Then again, one is DAO attestations, where you can generate DIDs and VCs, getting attested from any external third-party DAO, for example, DevDAO. So if you just add modules, then you can fetch the details of the module and execute any functions which are available. There are multiple functions which will be exposed. One for registering the module itself, the configuration of it, and then for fetching the data from the module and then writing data. So basically CRUD operations. So exhaustive documentation is under works right now. And we are also open to contributors for the core SDK as well. So if you would like to contribute, I'll just drop this link over the chat. So yeah, I think this is the whole overview. And here is one Solidity contract that we have uploaded on the repo, which is actually being used in production by one of the apps, the P2Px that I talked about. And it uses a couple of modules. So one is, again, the referral system, the recommendation, then using ZK proofs for verifying KYC. Again, for Indians, it's Aadhaar that is being verified. And third thing is some activity on the platform itself. So being an on-off-ramp exchange, any transaction that you do on the exchange gets you some credibility added to your profile. It's fairly self-explanatory, all the functions, the data that is being used. So essentially what we have done is, this is one of the example. We have just taken this and created a framework out of it and exposed functions which can be easily used by anyone, and anyone can build an app like P2Px.
Yeah.
So I think,
and by doing that, all the credibility scores across various dApps also become interoperable, right? Because if all of them follow the same.
So I dropped the link.
Yeah, the credibility scores on a P2P DEX can be used by a non-collateralized lending app. These credibility scores can be used by a news app where financial news comes and goes. We sort of certify this news based on the credibility of source, right? Stuff like that. So all these trust apps can become like one single layer of trust. So that is the vision behind Mande Network and what we are building on this RollApp, to basically aggregate all the credibility based dApps, creating this trust layer, right, for Web3. So that starts with RollApps, then we can extend to rest of the Cosmos ecosystem broadly, Ethereum later on and stuff like that. Essentially one single layer of trust. Just like you have a credit score from your bank given by some other external agency. Eventually all the credit ratings for all kinds of applications goes from one RollApp, that is Mande Network.
Yeah.
So that is
a few more things that I'd just like to add is in terms of contribution, right? So there are two things, broadly speaking, that can be contributed to for building credibility for the ecosystem, right? So one is, again, creating apps which are inspired or based out of these modules that we talked about. And again, I think going over the paper and the Git repo will be a good refresher for anyone. So you can take inspiration of any of these modules and build apps using these modules, which will potentially fall under the credibility theme, right? So this is one of the ways to be contributed. And the second way is, again, the Git repo that I shared. If you are interested in contributing to the core SDK itself, you can get in touch, create issue on the Git repo itself, or there is a Telegram username mentioned. So these are the two ways.
Yeah. So there's some more questions. I'll just okay. Jumuru asked, what stops you to split an amount to different wallets and trick the quadratic mechanism? So basically, the quadratic voting mechanism should be combined with a Sybil resistant system like a ZK proof of a national identity, or a Twitter Connect, or something where we uniquely identify each address without sort of violating their privacy, and then combine it with the quadratic voting system, right? So we need to do both. So essentially, we have a Sybil resistance built into the system, and then quadratic mechanism on top of it. So proof credibility SDK enables both. You have ZK proofs. You can import some ZK proofs and then say, okay, let only people with these ZK proofs vote. and then make them vote on each other, right? So you need to gate it like that. That's the best way to implement it. Thank you, JV, for saying explanation went from 0 to 1 to 3 to 5 to 10, 100. Yeah, that's the whole idea. Feel free to connect.
I think what JV is trying to say is it went too fast.
Okay.
Yeah. I get it. I think, taking a look at the repo would really be helpful. Given the time we have, I think, and it's more of a very self-explanatory. I mean, we have not done any, out of the blue innovative stuff. We have just taken a lot of already existing things and created a package out of it, which could be, used to build innovative dApps.
And we actually build things out of it and gain traction and showing it to people like a real proof. So that's what we have done. So yeah, I mean, anyways, I think we tried to sort of graduate the explanation. I hope you got the idea of what credibility is and how it can be built using various mechanisms, and how proof of credibility SDK can be used, and how those apps can be deployed back on Mande network. Shared some material over here on the chat. Please take a note of it and then share it across. Go through it. We are happy to connect on our Discord or Twitter anytime. Please drop by.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. So Clara, that's the session. If anybody has any more, you can take them. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was definitely like a lot to take in, but I think people were super interested. So for everyone who want to kind of go over it again, there will be a recording posted tomorrow as usual, so you can definitely kind of recap. And yeah, people are asking now for your Twitter handles, so feel free to share those as well. And you guys can kind of connect on there, and hopefully everyone can learn a bit more about Mande there as well. And yeah, you will be very, very busy learning all about this, and of course working on your projects as well. I think that is, I'm going to let you guys post your Twitter links. But in the meantime, if anyone has any final questions, and now is your chance to ask them before we say goodbye. You see one Twitter there. Let me grab my own Twitter as well, just in case anyone wants it. I know no one asked for it, but I'm going to shamelessly plug myself as well. So there you have me as well, if you want to hear all about the programs we're running. And I see that Sandeep is just getting his Twitter now there as well. Awesome. Yeah, and make sure to follow Mande Network as well, and of course Encode Club if you want. That's it from us today. Do you guys have any final words of encouragement for all of our hackers before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think we are super bullish on Dymension and the value it can create. I'm sure events like this sort of promote cool stuff. So we are looking to sort of see some interesting dApps that can get built on these RollApps.
Yep. And feel free to join our Discord and discuss ideas with us.
Yeah, happy to help.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys have the link to the Discord, or did you post it already?
Just sharing it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, could be useful just in case. And yeah, guys, feel free to reach out to these guys if you want to kind of bounce some ideas and chat more. I'm sure that you get some amazing insight. Are you guys grabbing the Discord link now, or should I quickly?
Yeah, this is our Discord link. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you so much then, guys. I'll see you all later. Thank you to our lovely speakers. It was a really, really good workshop. Hopefully I'll see you both soon. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. Bye, guys.
Thanks for the opportunity, Clara. See you.
Thank you.